trust company and tax and private client practitioner, joins us to bring a common sense approach to money in a world of total insanity. Let's welcome Tony D'Angelo.
All right, so Tony joins us every Tuesday, take us in all these different directions. Tony, first, good morning. How are you, pal?
Good morning, Lee. I'm proud to be among you guys.
Well, thank you, as always, for being with us. And, I gotten a text message from a good friend of mine because my opening monologue had to do with a couple of different things. But one of those things he just wanted to jump on top of and comment on, which was, how Donald Trump's been in office for 3.5 years. And the weight of civilization has fallen on his back, yet Nancy Pelosi, 30-plus years. Maxine Waters, 40-plus years. Schumer, 40-plus years. And nobody says boo.
Not a word. And the amazing thing is, I'm really happy you started out with that because that's where I am today. When we look at, quote-unquote, the visions of political figures, of career political figures, be you, way up in Washington or be you down, at the state level or, across municipalities and things like that. And this is not everyone, but, by and large, it has become visionless to the point where, I get very concerned. Now, I'm not in as much concern for me. I'll do okay. I've been there. I've provided. That's not so much of an issue. I am horribly concerned for the cities and for our young people. And can we build things back? Because really what we've got right now is just this myopic, brain-dead focus on COVID to the exclusion of everything else that's out there, anything where people could go. And I'm all about that. I'm all about improvement. Many people come to me, and, I get the wreckage of society, the people that have been, run over by all kinds of things. And the idea is to build them back little by little, give them confidences. Give them something that they can go on, and then they can go ahead. But we're just, because of whatever you want to call it, political brain deadedness, we're not providing any of that. I think it was like last Tuesday when we finished up that afternoon, and this gives you an idea of just the total lack of whatever. There's a company called Property Claim Services. It's an insurance standard bearer. They've been tracking losses since 1950. And they had come out and said that the damage in the cities has come to $2 billion. Now, this is not economics class. This really hits home when you start to think about it. And it's to the point where insurers don't want to insure activity anymore. And so you want to have a business, you want to have a little donut shop or something in the city. We can't get insurance for you. Can't have your business. And just to give you an idea, Rodney King riots in 1992 was $1.4 billion. These are price-adjusted figures. Watts in 1965, $357 million. Detroit, $322 million in 1967. Now, that all seems academic, except when you go to insure your house or your car or something, and the premiums through the roof, and you find out you can't do it because there's fewer insurers. Because insurance companies are basically, capital providers. They put things out. It's a contract that they're really hoping something doesn't happen, but you want that check to be there when it does. And it's just, is anybody seeing this? Does anybody understand? I went through 2 Connecticut cities this past week. And I'm saying, unless there really is some, post-World War II type vision here, it's only going to get worse, but nobody really seems to care other than the fact of, we had a COVID case, and that's the news of the day. They are missing the forest for the freaking trees. God, excuse my French, your ball.
What? You said you went through 2 cities in Connecticut. Which ones?
New Haven and Hartford.
Okay, and basically
they're broken-hearted. They're dead. It looks like things were hit by a neutron bomb, and it's just like these were great engines of commerce, of education, places where people could go. I wandered into New Haven 35 years ago with a newspaper and a red pencil and nothing.
Right.
In a 1970 Oldsmobile, by the grace of God, I was able to make something out of my life. A kid going today is going to find nothing but closed doors. Doesn't anybody see this?
Well, okay, so these places, these urban centers that you mentioned in Hartford and New Haven, Bridgeport is probably similar. Here in my backyard, New London,
yeah,
they can't get out of their own way.
It's terrible.
Tony. All right, so the people who live there, they're not stupid. So they see this over and over and over and over again. And even the people on the outskirts who want to claim that they're, tree-hugging, left-leaning liberals who, love everything about progressivism. It doesn't work in the way they set it up. So how do you convince these folks that this is not the way to go?
And the tragedy of it, and the thing is, I try, but really, 5 years from now, when the wreckage is there and no one, when you're really kind of dealing with post-war Detroit and our current crop of political leaders are somewhere else or maybe even in jail, some of that is deserved. I mean, it's they've done their damage, they've taken things, and you're leaving the people. I don't know how you convince them other than the fact and to say, look, if you want improvement, you're going to have to do it yourself. And, the other thing that's bothering me is education. And I'm not a parent. I'm not a grandparent. My wife is a parent and a grandparent. I have friends. Our mutual friend Bob works in the schools. And this online education thing is a total and complete disaster to the point where, we're now damaging these kids. And there was an article I was reading right after I think we finished up last week. Bethany Mandel, a pediatrician, talking about the American Association of Pediatrics, is saying you stick kids in front of screens and you're harming them over and over and over. And and you watch the schools flounder and you watch people protesting and things like that. It's like I'm willing to say this, and I will say this on this air. I think the only way that schools are going to be, actually improved is parents got to keep these kids out and just say, look, we're not going to send these kids back until you do something. Then you'll see that things straighten up. Now, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I will volunteer. Now, I would like to think I'm an educated person. There's other educated professionals that are out there. I can volunteer time as a teacher. I can teach some stuff. Other people can teach some stuff. We're going to run rings around this thing, and not because we're wonderful people, but man, it ain't hard. It's just as simple as that, and just as difficult. We're destroying our young people. We're destroying our cities, and nobody seems to care.
Yeah, I don't know what to do about this school system situation because there's no way that the kids are getting the same kind of education at home that they're getting.
No.
And listen, some people, it's different. Like some families can provide their own education. Right? They have self-taught kind of situations,
right.
But they have time to do it. Other families, you got both parents working. How are they even doing that?
Well, that's just it. And the thing is, if you have folks like my folks who were not necessarily academic folks, my father's 7th grade, my mother 10, she had to quit because she had to help her mother clean houses during the Depression. Then she went to work in the can factory as a teenage girl because there wasn't, they're not academic. They're not going to get this, but my real thing on this is that I really think that this is the grand design of the bean brains that are out there and the Boston Consulting people, because you go to their website, man, you go to McKinsey, and they've got, quote unquote, the package for online education that's going to save the world, and that's not going to do anything. Kids need to develop and be with other kids and have schools and have sports, and you can do things safely. It's not a risk-free world, and going back to your people in the cities, how do you convince them that this isn't going to be? Well, if you want to be sitting there in a room with a mask on and somebody hand you a check and a few scraps of food and you think that's life, go to it. That's not where I'm at.
That's exactly right. I got to go in a second, but if I gave you the power to do one thing for these cities, what would you do?
The first thing I would do is make them tax-free zones, and just, you come in here, you do something, and it's tax-free for 5 years,
right.
And, make the places safe, and really make them oasis for the culture and the community that they bring. But it's that would be the first thing I would do, and nobody would like that. But you've got to give me something to go back there. Give me that, and I'll, give me lemons, and I'll make something better than lemonade.
Tony, thank you, buddy. Great stuff again, as always.
My pleasure, my honor.
I'll talk to you next week. Tony D. Bob Lazari will join us next. Stick around.